Alright everyone, welcome back to a year in the TikTok of Feminist Landwhale. I don't really have much to say here in the opening, so let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Boys at school never look at me.
Everybody around my feeling. I'm a dick cracky little minute. When I'm seeing you, it ain't no tell.
Boys at school.
Okay, so just a couple of things to note. I'm not trying to shit on her for this TikTok. This is something that we're going to see, though. I'm marking it because this is something that we're going to see with a lot of the fat acceptance people once we get around, like, summer of 2022, is that they all went to a Harry Styles concert, and they all, like, note somehow how Harry Styles noticed them. I feel like it's meant to be a flex of some sort, and I don't know if it's just them having fun or if it's them trying to flex something. All I'll say is that performers cater to their fans. Harry Styles strikes me as someone who is genuinely nice. I could be wrong. I'll be honest. I never followed Harry Styles much. I liked his Watermelon Sugar song. That's the only one that comes to mind, though. Like, I'm not a big Harry Styles follower. I'm not a Harry Styles fan, but I do think that this kind of falls under, like, it's a performer. You're clearly a dedicated fan because we know that Feminist Landwhale will, like, stay outside in line for days at a time to get these tickets, so that way she can get, like, right up front. So I don't know. I'm not noting this to shit on her. I'm just noting it because it's something that we're going to see with some of the other TikTok creators later on. And I just wanted it noted. I just wanted that noted because I feel like it kind of reminds me of the, as cynical dude would say, "My man so hot" thing when they're like, why do thin people hate you or whatever. And there's just something that I don't know. Something else that I really want to note, though, is that we are now 10 days out from where my last video ended, and there really hasn't been much to comment on. Even this isn't really a fat acceptance thing to really comment on. Honest to God, think it's because she has concerts to go to. She has shit going on in her life, so she's not making the fat acceptance content because she has positive things going on in her life. And I just can't help but wonder if the fat acceptance group had more positive things to occupy their time, if they got hobbies, like hobbies that they could do year round, and they were invested in those hobbies, would we see as much fat liberation content stuff as we do? It's just something I can't help but notice, but we're gonna go ahead and move on.
I know people gotta be upset. You spend your whole life trying not to be a fat bitch because you think it's like the worst thing in the world. And then you see a broad like me, just a big fucking behemoth, living my best life. That's just gotta hurt. I know people.
Here's the thing. I don't hate the morbidly obese. I don't hate fat people. And I think that's something that a lot of the fat liberation content creators don't fully understand, is that they do get some hate from people that just do obsessively hate on someone. They overgeneralize that a lot. They also conflate, like, legitimate criticism of, like, your weight isn't because you went through weight cycling as a teenager. Your weight is the way it is because of how much and what kinds of foods you eat. And they group that in with the people that tell them that they should die and that are just cruel. It's like they don't know how to distinguish that those are two very, very different comments. Honestly, I see so many of these content creators comment about, like, living their best life or just, like, going out and living. And I, like, Feminist Landwhale, all the things that she's shown are from, like, May to right around this time, so about mid-July. And, yeah, she was doing a lot of, like, clearly going out, having fun sort of activities during this time. Not denying that. Not denying that at all. But also, she wasn't posting nearly as much fat liberation content. And when we see her posting more fat liberation content, we see a hell of a lot less of these fun things that she's doing. And I think part of the reason why she's doing more fun things now is because it's summer and maybe there aren't as many things as she's interested in during the winter. And that's why we see an uptick in her fat liberation content. I mean, we'll see as we go through, because this is July of last year. We need to get through to currently, which for me would be February 26th. I doubt we're going to get there in this video. My guess is that we'll have this video and maybe one more of the long videos for her, and then we'll be done with her. Like, I don't hate that you're living life in as a morbidly obese person. That doesn't mean that I want to be like that. It's not the worst thing in the world to me to be morbidly obese. I think that's something else that they like to say, is that, oh, that's my life is your worst, not my life, but my body is your worst nightmare. No, it's a preference of what I don't want for myself. And quite frankly, I would be working and making changes before I got to that point. It's my choosing to monitor my calories and do exercises and stuff to try to control my weight and stuff. It's no different than the amount of work and time that you take for your appearance beauty-wise, when it comes to makeup, when it comes to whatever you do. Make yourself look good, or however you want to say that. My skincare routine functions on washing my face, putting sunscreen on pretty much. I go through bouts of using like a moisturizer or face mask. I'm not very good at taking care of my skin, I'll be honest with that. Because I'm choosing, I tend to go more towards healthier habits, and I'm slowly adding more like skincare type stuff, but I'm not a makeup person. I don't like putting products in my hair. I don't like the way that they feel. Granted, she goes for a bald look, so that's her choice. But like, I don't. It's a trade-off. I choose, and some people do everything. Like some people, they want their whole hobby is their appearance, and there's no shade on them for that. And so they'll do the full skincare routine, the full makeup routine, the working out, the diet stuff, all of that stuff. That's their hobby, which, you know, good for them. You'll end up looking good and being far healthier than I am. Feminist Landwhale has chosen the beauty care as much. The only thing that she hasn't chosen in terms of traditional attractiveness is in terms of her weight. Like, everything else is like an aesthetic she's going for, but her weight is something that she just feels she can't change. And I think she feels she can't change it because she doesn't want to put the work into it. It's easier to say that it's impossible and absolve yourself of responsibility than it is to take ownership of, it's not a priority for me. My skincare stuff, not a priority for me. Is that great? No. But that is the reality of how I function. It's similar, I think, for her. Is weight loss a priority for her? No. But she doesn't want to be able to, she doesn't want to just own that. She doesn't want to be able to own that maintaining a healthier lifestyle, focusing on losing weight and stuff. She doesn't want to admit that that's not a priority for her. She doesn't want to admit that it's not something she wants to put her time into. She would much rather say it's impossible because of something that is completely outside of her control and something that was almost inflicted on her as a way to get out of the responsibility for the body that she has. I don't know. I went off on this one.
I need to feel something. Harry, can you tell me something that'll piss me off? Boba Fett's better than Mondo. Yep, that'll do it.
So, the comment that she put when the sound was like, tell me something to piss me off. The comment was, you remind me of Tammy from 1,000 Pound Sisters, but with better fashion sense. And then she says, replying to @Violet, what possesses you to say this to someone? I'm curious. I'm just curious. For someone that's always like, you know, fat people are beautiful and everything, what was so offensive about this? I'm very, like, from the fat liberation rhetoric, Tammy is in a more marginalized body than you are. And you're saying, what possesses you to say this to someone? The sound that you used indicated that it really did piss you off. Doesn't this go against the fat liberation, fat positivity? Like, isn't this fatphobic? Isn't this fatphobic? I'm just curious. Like, girl, did you realize? Did you? And if it's not that, then are you making fun of the weight? If you're gonna claim that it's not about Tammy's weight, are you going to claim that it's about Tammy's looks and that you're prettier, in which case you are still promoting an unhealthy beauty ideal, because Tammy doesn't wear makeup the way you do. So, like, just curious. I highly doubt that it has anything to do with Tammy's mentality, and that's why you're saying that. This is so interesting to me. For someone who's like, fat people are attractive and you not finding them attractive is fat phobic. For those that tout the fat liberation and the body positivity and all that, this comment is what pissed you off. It says, you remind me of Tammy from 1,000 Pound Sisters, but with a better fashion sense. What about being compared to Tammy? Not in the way Tammy dresses, because she says you have a better fashion sense, that you're a bit more put together. What about being compared to Tammy pisses you off so much? For someone that is all about fat, it's even in here. Fat phobia, body positivity, fat liberation, and yet you are clearly upset about being compared to a woman who is heavier than you are. This is so interesting. Oh my god. I wonder if she left it up. She never took it down, clearly. Did she get responses? I wonder if she's gonna have to justify this. We gotta see. Okay, so this says Stitch incoming, but there is like a little caption here. I think this is from the original video. I wonder what it would be like if I wasn't a girl in a bigger body. I look all my thin friends and people gravitate towards them easily. I wonder what it would be like to be thin. What it would feel like for the cutest boy to choose me. I wonder what it would be like to experience being a first choice. Would I like me then? So let's see, I'm curious.
Good morning, I just woke up and I saw this video and I have so much to say about it. No hate to this girl at all, because like, we've all been there. I've been there. Everyone I know who was fat has been there, but we need to free ourselves from the shackles of thinking life would be better if we were thin. Obviously, there are some things that, like, yeah, I wouldn't be dealing with fat-phobic comments all the time if I was thin. I could shop mostly anywhere I wanted to if I was thin. I wouldn't have to deal with medical fat phobia if I was thin. All of those things I do agree would be less of an issue or not even an issue if I was a thin person. But, like, for the most part, would my life really be that much better? I am hot. I mean, maybe not right now. My eye is swollen and I just woke up. But I'm hot whether or not I'm fat or thin. I have a...
I'm sorry, I just gotta chat, like, I gotta be a petty bitch and chime in here. Yet, you said you're hot whether you're fat or thin, and yet you hated being compared to Tammy, who is significantly heavier than you. I can't help but wonder. Are you really, like, if anything, that Tammy I'm gonna be hung up on that Tammy comment for the rest of the video. I can't help but wonder if that Tammy comment revealed that you don't believe a lot of the things that you spew because you hated being compared to someone bigger. So is this like a false bravado that you put forth as a way to kind of shield yourself from the reality of your situation and from the reality of your insecurities and from the reality of taking responsibility for yourself? I can't help but wonder.
Friends and family members and even like romantic partners who have loved me because of who I am and they don't really give a shit about whether or not I'm fat. We glorify thinness so much as a society that we have people like wishing that they could just be something that they probably can't because not everyone is capable of being thin. And seeing videos like this, like, it makes me sad because I want everyone to live their best lives, no matter what they weigh. Especially if you're fat, I want you to live your best life, duh. And I think that this way of thinking, like this train of thought that she's going through is like really a reflection of society's fat phobia. We are so indoctrinated to believe that thinness is best that, like, again, people wonder how much better their life could be if the number on the scale was different or if they wore a different clothing size. Like, how fucked up is that? One of the best pieces of advice I can give anyone who struggles with this train of thought is to simply follow more fat people on social media. Seeing other fat people living their best lives and being happy has made me a happier person and has made me believe that I can also live my best life. Additionally, like, if you are a fat person, pushing yourself to live your best life That's the best thing you can do for yourself anytime, but especially when you're struggling with thoughts like this. I hope anyone out there who is thinking about stuff like this has a great day, and I hope that you find peace soon.
And I don't really have anything more to comment on it, although I will say that her talk about, it wasn't diet culture, but like the beauty ideal, I have a hard time taking that fully because it seems like she engages in behaviors very similar to the beauty ideal in a lot of, or related to the beauty ideal in a lot of ways, except for perhaps hair and the fact that she's overweight and doesn't want to change that. And the whole not everyone is capable of being thin, that's true for a very small number of people. It's not even a matter, well, her idea of being thin, I should say. Her idea of being thin, which would be a normal, like, average, healthy weight. I think her saying that not everyone is capable is her way of pushing off the responsibility off herself for what her current weight is. I think that's her way of absolving herself of responsibility. Because the truth is that most people can achieve a healthy weight, which to her I think is what the thin comment is. And whether that's thin or not is up to you to decide. I'm not getting into semantics of and arguments over vague terms like thinness. I think that not everyone is capable of being thin is an easy way to just absolve yourself of the situation. And in reality, you are the weight that you are because of choices that you've made. In, God, at least 95% of cases. Like, I'm not saying it's not hard. It's fucking hard to lose weight. It is, because you're having to relearn how to function as in a basic terms of being a human being. In that you don't just eat a ton of shit because it's available. You don't use food as a way to cope with your emotions, and maybe you've been doing that since childhood, and that's hard. That is a hard habit to break. I'm not denying that. It is a hard habit to break. That doesn't mean that you are incapable of being thin. Now, I am sorry for this girl about her insecurities. I am. It sucks. For this one, though, I would say more like comparison is the thief of joy. This is going to be my answer to a lot of things. Find a hobby that makes you feel good about yourself, and shit like this won't bother you as much. That would be my recommendation. I don't think that, I'm of the philosophy, and plenty of you are free to disagree with me, but I'm of the philosophy that focusing on the insecurity only causes rumination and potential, like, it can be beneficial to do what, Feminist Landwhale says and find people that are like you to follow on social media to kind of normalize it for yourself if that's really what you want to do. I think a healthier option for me, at least to me, would be to find value in yourself outside of appearance. Take up a hobby, develop skills at it, become good at something. And then while appearance still matters, health still matters. Well, health matters more than the hobby, but we'll focus strictly on appearance. While appearance will still matter to you, it won't matter as much because you have other things that define your value. We always say, like, a person's appearance shouldn't be the be-all, end-all of their value. It shouldn't define their value. I agree with that. But the way to adjust that is to find something else to attach your value to. And there is this argument of inherent value. I'm not getting into that because I've really struggled with that concept in terms when I'm thinking of myself. I can see the inherent value in other human beings. I really struggle seeing the inherent value in myself. And I think a lot of people with insecurities would also struggle with this. So for me, it's better and easier to attach my value to a variety of different things. So that way, should I fail in any of them, hey, look, I still have all these things that give me value. I know it may not be necessarily the healthiest in terms of seeing value in yourself, but it's what works for me, and it's what's made me okay with how I am, how I look, and my social failures, because every time I fail socially, at least I can dive into a hobby and reaffirm value that I have, because social shit always fucks with me a bit. But anyway, let's move on.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby.
Okay, I'm not even gonna comment on exactly what she ate and the healthiness of it. I just gotta comment on the amount, because I had COVID over winter break back in December. I think I mentioned this at the time that it happened too. I don't know how the fuck she can eat that much with COVID. It killed my appetite, and the idea of eating anything made me nauseous. Like, I would have to be so hungry. I had to be super, super hungry to even eat anything. I could only handle the most bland of foods. I'll admit, when I had COVID, I didn't keep up much on my protein either, because all I could really handle was top ramen and some other really bland foods. I tried to eat something sweet a couple of times, and I just could not tolerate it. It was like, oh god, I can't eat this. That happened with a lot of things. I pretty much survived on bland foods and fruit, and I certainly didn't eat this. How the fuck did she eat this much with COVID? Day 2 of COVID, no doubt. Do you know what I ate the second day I had COVID? I had an apple and peanut butter, I think, and my mom made some soup, and I had one bowl. That was all I had the second day. That's an approximation, because I don't remember exactly, but I remember not being able to eat much when I had COVID, because it just fucked with my appetite so much, and it made my stomach so sensitive. Not only that, but the body aches for the second day were horrendous. That the idea of even eating or anything would just made me so fucking nuts. How the fuck did she eat this much on the second day of COVID? Well, she said, all things considered, my symptoms are pretty mild. I had a fairly strong reaction, so perhaps that's part of it. Not strong. It's not like I had to be hospitalized. I didn't even have to go to urgent care or anything, so I guess moderate would probably be a better definition of my symptoms, but still, I don't know how she can... even when I'm sick, I just generally eat a little bit less. But how did you eat that much with COVID?
I'm fat, but big deal. I don't feel bad about it. You never made me feel bad about it. And just because there are some people in the world who want me to feel bad about it, doesn't mean I have to. I'm fat.
So, I remember when this was going around a lot. I watched King of the Hill a lot as a teenager, and I even revisited the series, not recently, but a couple of years ago. And I still think that the series holds up. I still think it's a pretty decent series. I think the way that it handled some issues at the time were surprisingly progressive for the time period that it was in. I felt like the drag queen episode was pretty well handled. I think Dale's dad being gay was pretty well handled for the time period. But if we're looking at Bobby, this whole line came from a non-Bobby centric episode. It was a Peggy centric episode, because Peggy has abnormally large feet. She's a size 16 and a half. And someone was flattering to her about her feet, and it turns out that she was unwittingly making foot fetish porn. That only made her feel worse about her feet, afterward because the guy that was making it and not telling her what the whole foot thing was for, like the photo shoots and shit were for, basically called her a freak at some point, and then she really spiraled into depression after that. And so Bobby was trying to kind of cheer her up, saying, yeah, I'm fat, but, you know, big deal. While that is a fine attitude to have in the moment, it should not... The difference between Peggy's feet and Bobby's weight is that Peggy can't change her feet. Like, I understand it's a big security, but she can't change her feet. Accepting it and embracing it make more sense. Bobby can't run down the street and back. Bobby is well known in the series for being excessively out of shape. Bobby is also known... There was an entire episode devoted to him eating at this bistro deli, eating like chicken liver sandwiches for a while, to the point where he develops gout. And he is so addicted to that food that despite having gout, he continues... He gets like a little roller scooter, and then like a motorized scooter, and then continues to eat the food that gave him gout. Even when cutting back on that to the point where he can heal from the gout would allow him to go to the dance with his current crush at the time, and the girl who liked him back. Like, it was their... I think that they were dating at the time. So it's like, Bobby, yes, great for him that he accepts his, you know, weight at 13 years old and he doesn't let it hold him back. Like, that's a big thing for a teenager. At the same time, it's not like Bobby, a 13-year-old boy from a series now that started 20 years ago, should be the role model for adult women now. Like, if you watch the series, there were plenty of indicators that Bobby's weight is a detriment to him, and that he needs to work on that. It's also worked to his advantage a couple of times, but more often than not, it's been shown to be a detractor for him. It's not been shown to get in his way, is the better way to put it. It's gotten in his way a couple of times. Not to say that you can't be confident while you're fat, that's fine, but not changing it. Bobby's a teenager, so you understand why he doesn't, like, put as much effort in. You're an adult woman. This is not the hill to die on for me. So this TikTok that she's stitching starts with the caption, "If a woman with PCOS is overweight, it does not mean she's cheating on her diet or is lazy."
I fixed it. Normalize
If anyone is overweight, it is none of your business why or how.
not justifying why someone is fat. Being fat is okay.
And this is how they torch their own movement. Like, this guy is clearly trying to be supportive of women with PCOS. I understand that it's harder to lose weight with PCOS, but I believe losing weight is supposed to help it. Don't quote me on that, though. But the fact that she's unhappy with this and changes it to, if anyone is overweight, it is none of your business why or how. While it is a true statement, it's not really your... Other people's weight is not your business. Like, I understand that sentiment. I do. I understand that sentiment. That being said, clearly this person that is essentially trying to be supportive, you are at the same time blasting. I don't understand how this group, this fat liberation crew, can get so mad at people because they don't reach their absolutely insane level of what marks like a good ally. On the little description thing says, having to justify why being fat is okay under certain circumstances reinforces the idea that there are circumstances where being fat is not okay. And I'm sorry, but there are circumstances where being fat is not okay. I think there's, yeah. And if you disagree with that, that's fine. But I just, there's just something about this where it's like the person is clearly being supportive in some way, and rather than being like, I appreciate the sentiment, but really, XYZ and go ahead and put your rhetoric there, at the very least acknowledges the attempt on the first person that is trying to be an ally to you. Like this, it's just this lambasting of other people that don't fit into your very narrow view of what they should be saying. Like, it's just,
Tell me the wildest way you have ever been fat-shamed. I'll go first.
As you can imagine, I have many stories about being fat-shamed. But this one that I'm going to tell didn't even happen to me. It happened to my friend who I was out to dinner with. For context, 2 of my friends and I went out to dinner and we're all plus size. And we sit down and the waitress is like, can I start you guys with any drinks? And I was like, oh, I'll just have some water. My other friend was like, I'll have a water too. And then our third friend was like, oh, can I please have a Coke? And the waitress looks them up and down and goes, Diet Coke? And my friend was just like, no, a regular Coke, please. And this happened 3 years ago, and I still think about it because what the fuck?
Tell me.
Cynical Dude, I believe, covered this one. He covers a lot of stitches related to this Tell Me the Wildest Way You've Been Fat Shamed. And as I've been watching his videos, I can't help but agree and be like, how many times has someone been looked up and down? Like, I don't know. There's something that, I'm not saying that there's no way that it happened, but there's something about the way that it's being told, especially since it happened 3 years ago, that I can't help but wonder if some of the details have been embellished a little bit to make, like, did she really look your friend up and down? Or when your friend asked for a Coke, did she go Diet Coke? And, like, made that assumption, and you guys took offense to it. To me, that seems more like the natural thing that would have happened. I have a hard time believing that she waited, paused, looked your friend up and down, and then asked Diet Coke. Like, it seems a bit sus to me.
Your ass got that look like a fat ass Chris Brown or no cap.
I tell you what you look like, but you won't like it.
Your ass.
So her little caption says, when I hear a skinny person call themselves fat, so I remind them they're not fat, just ugly. It's so fucking rude. Like, for fuck's sake, just because someone is expressing an insecurity doesn't mean that you have the right to, like, lash out at them and then call them names. Like, I love that someone said that's called bullying. And Sarah goes, what's your point? So she's aware. She's aware. She's not a good person, I swear to God. And something that's interesting to note is that we are now on November 3rd. I think she deleted some videos. This is something that I noticed when I was scrolling down to find the video that I left off on. Chunks of videos have been missing. Like, I didn't have to scroll for very long to get to June of last year, which I thought was odd because I'm like, I'm pretty sure I couldn't tell if I was, like, misgauging something because A Witchy Dream took so long to get through. No, like, from November 1st until, like, October 15th, fucking big chunk of time is gone. Sarah's the type of person that posts almost daily, at least a few times a week, and yet there are weeks that are missing, and I have a very hard time believing. There was no, like, hey, sorry, I've been gone for long. There was no video like that, so I think she deleted them after the fact, and I think she deleted them recently because I don't remember having to scroll down so far. My question is, what were those videos? Because she's willing to keep stuff up that is fucking rude as shit like this. That does not show her in a good light. That shows that she is just an insecure, petty person. That will happily play on the insecurities of others. If someone that you perceive as skinny, let's pretend they're actually skinny and they're calling themselves fat. For someone who's like, don't compliment on weight loss because it could be because someone has depression or ED, maybe someone calling themselves fat when you don't think they're fat could be indicative of something else going on with them. Like, if you want to play the we don't know card, then you need to uphold that we don't know card in all circumstances. But you don't. You don't, because ultimately the goal is for you to be a victim. It's for you to be perceived as a victim. I want to know what was in those videos she deleted.
No, because I was waiting for some.
So the comment says, yes, invalidating someone else's body dysmorphia. Lovely. Kind of what I was saying. You don't know if that person has body dysmorphia, and yet you're playing into that.
someone to comment this. Explain how body dysmorphia excuses fat phobia. Quickly.
Oh, fucking bitch. Oh, there's something about that snapping thing that pissed me off, actually. That made me really mad. You fucking, I wouldn't slap her because I'm one that's like, I know that I would get arrested for assault. My initial reaction would be to fucking slap her for doing that in my face, snapping in my face. If like we were face to face and she was like snapping in my face, I would be so fucking pissed. It's a condescension thing. Condescension is my biggest anger trigger, and I struggle with it so fucking much because it's a visceral reaction for me. Explain how body dysmorphia excuses fat phobia. Bitch, how does you feeling victimized in a plus-size body give you the right? How does that make it okay to call someone with body dysmorphia ugly? To call anybody ugly because they were expressing an insecurity. And it's not even fat phobia if you're talking. I'm sorry, I don't believe. Like, if we even say that fat phobia is a thing, calling yourself fat is not fat phobic. That's expressing either the way that you perceive your body at the moment, that's expressing an insecurity. It can be a couple of different things. It's not fat phobic. You are just an awful, miserable little person. So, this is the last TikTok. I swear to God she deleted stuff because we jumped a lot. Like, a shit ton. And I've been looking at Feminist Landwhale on and off, and I swear to God she's deleted some of her TikToks, like a fair amount of her TikToks. Maybe not for December. December, I remember she wasn't posting as frequently, but like January had almost nothing. And I'm pretty sure she had more videos during that time. I think she went through and scrubbed some of her content because I swear to God, some were removed. This last one says, hello everyone, my car was towed this week and it's going to be over 1K to get it back. Anything is appreciated, even just a repost of the story. Thanks in advance. So, e-begging. Not saying, like, I understand tough times, you resort to what you have to. I swear to God she deleted some stuff. This was originally I figured I'd be able to get through her stuff, because with some of the cuts, I didn't expect that it would take me under an hour to get through what's left. This is the only video for this week, so I'm going to go ahead and take some time to talk about some other things, but we are officially done with Feminist Landwhale. I swear to God she deleted some of her stuff, though. She had to have deleted some of her stuff. So, when looking, something I want to go over real quick is, unfortunately you can't see it because I didn't expand the window that far, but I have, the list of people that I follow off on the left side here. And what I've been doing is trying to concentrate on the one that's furthest down and then, like, tackle some of the ones as we go up. But for the most part, just target focus a lot on the furthest one down, which has been Feminist Landwhale. The next one up is Fat Sapphic Bro, so we'll be focusing a little bit more on Fat Sapphic Bro going forward, which means I need to download that stupid app from my university or see if I can get into one of the other university logins that I have access to right now. Although all the university logins now, because they're trying to fight people sharing studies for free online, they have set up so many authentication shit that it's so annoying to get into any of them anymore. Like, it's fucking annoying. So I'm going to work on figuring out which one is going to be the least annoying to get into, and that's just going to be the one we're going to use moving forward. We're done with Feminist Landwhale. We're going to start focusing on Fat Sapphic Bro, probably not next week, because I enjoyed looking at some new people. So I think next week we might look at Fat Fab Feminist again, and then I might cover a little bit of someone new, just to have some variety, because I like variety. And yeah, so when looking at this week for me, first things first, it was my break week, but I had my teachers, I swear to God, they locked everything and would only let us do week by week until the week before my break, and then they released, like, everything else that's left for the quarter, including one of the teachers had 4 fucking assignments that were bigger than any assignments that we've had so far this quarter. I don't know why they didn't, like, separate them out a little bit more instead of making them all due within a week of each other. One assignment took me 7 fucking hours. And that wasn't me, that was me phoning it in. But it was so time consuming. It was so time consuming given the parameters that we were given. It was fucking insane, and I'm pissed about it. I lost a good portion of my break to fucking homework this year, and it pisses me off. So I had that. I've decided to get back into studying Japanese, and it's something I might start, like, putting a couple videos out just in my, like, Dumping Ground channel, where I'm also putting my reactions to otome games, because I got a bunch of children's books that I am now finally able to read. So I kind of want to do something with that. Not sure yet, though. My weight stayed the same, but I got my new fitness tracker. I got my first ever smartwatch, because normally I've just been getting fitness trackers before, but this one actually connects to my phone, and I get notifications, and I can make calls, and it's kind of cool. Garmin, I will say, is pretty cool. So Garmin has features that Fitbit has, but Fitbit has it behind the paywall of their premium service, but Garmin just has for free. Like, they have their body battery rate thing, they give you your fitness age, they give breakdown of sleep scores, all of which was behind the paywall of Fitbit Premium. So I'm really loving Garmin so far. It works really well, too, so far. It's only a few days that I've had it, though, and my fitness trackers from Fitbit would stop working less than a year after I bought them. My mother has a Fitbit smartwatch, which also stopped functioning the way it was supposed to. It's still usable as a fitness tracker, but it stopped working as a smartwatch less than a year in. So we'll see with Garmin, based on how well it continues to work, where the value is in that. But I'm really liking it so far. It's really easy to track how much water I've had to drink. It breaks things down in an easy to weigh look. It covers my heart rate, my stress level, respirations per minute. It has a pulse oximeter. Even the breakdown of sleep is really nice. You can look at your camera. You can easily see notifications. It's really cool. I really like this so far, but I'm not promoting it until I've had it for about a year and see how well it still works, you know? I will say that I like the charger more than the Fitbit one, because the Fitbit one was entirely magnetic in order for it to charge, and sometimes it didn't want to charge correctly. Even when because I actually I couldn't buy third party with those because it just, like, wouldn't connect half the time. So I had to buy the $20 charger from Fitbit when I lost mine. But even those don't, like, connect 100% of the time. Garmin's actually has a port that you have to plug in, which I like. So just some things to consider. So the next 2 things I'm going to be covering is one, a manhwa I've been reading online, and I just got to promote it, and then I'm going to go into otome. So if you are not interested in either of those 2 things, you may leave now and not miss anything. But first, what we're going to do, okay, so this is Remarried Empress Manga Online. It is actually a manhwa, but I think they use manga for whatever reason. The story is about an empress who was betrothed to the emperor from a young age. And the emperor decides one day to bring home a concubine, which she's not happy about, understandably so. And eventually it leads to a divorce and her getting remarried. That's, like, in the first chapter, and then from there on we get to see the kind of build up to that moment, build up to their divorce. This is currently licensed in the US. The first volume has come out in the US. I don't have patience to wait for, like, official US releases, so I do read manga scans online, or manhwa scans online. And this is an entire website just devoted to the Remarried Empress, and it is literally remarriedempressmanga.com. And what I really like about this is that the translation and the translators are really into the story. And at the end of every chapter, oh, this one doesn't have it, So this is a new translator. Majesty Heart is a new translator. The first 30 chapters have a different team working on it, and then they realized that it was going to be licensed in the US, and so they didn't update it anymore, but then someone else took it up. But usually, I'm going to go to the previous chapter real quick. Usually there's some sort of meme online, and they like to refer to the emperor and the concubine as like the trash emperor and the trash concubine, but the previous translators referred to them as trash hoe and trashta, which I loved. And they actually have comments throughout some of the chapters sometimes, given their own little reactions. It elevates the experience. And one I really have to share with you guys. Can I choose the chapter? So chapter 23 was filled with, like, the emperor, the guy that took on the concubine, is such a fucking asshole in so many ways. He treats his wife really shitty because she's, of course, unhappy that there's a concubine in her palace now. Understandably so, but he still treats her like shit and blames her for everything whenever the concubine is upset. And the concubine, her name is Rasta, or Rashta. She, like, plays up the victim role a lot just to garner favor. She's really horrid in her own way. Whenever the Empress is developing friendships, not romantic interests per se, at least not from her perspective, not yet, just developing friendships with foreign dignitaries as is part of her fucking job, he basically accuses her of cheating on him and taking on her own male concubine in the form of foreign dignitaries. Like, he's such a fucking asshole, right? I mean, he's major fucking asshole. So is his concubine. They're just horrid people. And it's, like, it's fantastic in the most trash way. So this one doesn't have a meme on it. And in this one, the emperor took the empress to a villa for her birthday and, like, suddenly tries to seduce her when he's treated her like shit and chosen his concubine over and over her, and has just treated her like shit for the past 23 chapters. And now he's trying to seduce her, and this was their reaction to it when he goes to kiss her neck. What the fuck? Nasty, ew. And then, super disgusting. Poor our staff. This is the quality control person on the team. Says, well, my 2 cents here. If I were to write small note like always, I'm sure notes everywhere. I think Kek is, like, laughing. This chapter gave me a horrible nausea. How can a person so annoying, oh my ya. I nearly puke because of Trash Ho, which is the emperor, and Trashta, which is the concubine. For real. First, he kissed Trashta, and now, don't touch our girl, Trash. Shoo, just die. I know it's a wishy-washy political marriage, but I swear to God, I can't hold my anger. The pain is too real. Oh no, my blood pressure. Trash Ho just go to Bermuda Triangle and got eaten by a demon and transported to Mars, and no Pluto or black hole better. Why did you kiss Nevier? I can't. Or Nevier, something like that. Which I believe is the Empress. For the first time, I want Trash Ho bring Trashta here. I'm not making meme this time. The frustration got me worst. Like, it's these little, like, comments of how they perceive the story and it's going on. Like, the blood pressure comment got me. Like, I love that they refer to them as Trash Ho and Trashta. Like, I love that. It elevates the experience. I can't get this. I can't get these comments. And they have, like, little notes throughout the panels when they really, like, there have been times when the concubine is just making a fool of herself and there's a little note that says girl bye, and it's just, it elevates the experience. I will say that the story itself is a little draggy in some places, but it is full of drama, which is fun. The art varies in quality. Sometimes the faces look really wonky. And the translation is pretty good as far as, like, fan translations go. There are some awkward sentences, but it's really not bad. If you like royalty kind of political intrigue with some heavy emphasis on romance between some of the different characters and stuff, it's worth a read. And I really recommend remarriedempressmanga.com because there's so many gems with the comments from the different translation teams. It's so fun, and I really love it, and I had to share that with you guys. Looking at Cafe Enchanté, unfortunately this is going to be off-centered because I had this ratio for TikTok. Cafe Enchanté, I have finished Eel's route, Angel Boy here, and that was nice and complicated, and the romance kind of came out of nowhere at the end. It was a really good storyline. I just don't see Eel as a romantic interest, even in his own route. I moved on to Canus, and I only have the last chapter to get through. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get his bad ending my first time through. It's far more of a simplistic storyline than Eel's was, but the romantic tension between him and Kotone is fabulous. I'm looking forward to playing through the other 3 routes. It's pretty good so far. It's a game that I think isn't bad. It definitely has a lot of angst in it compared to the romantic comedies that I played previously, which was Variable Barricade and Cupid Parasite. Cafe Enchanté has fantasy elements, but definitely has more drama and angst to it. There's fewer moments of levity in it, but it's still pretty good. There's definitely an emphasis on the overarching fantasy plot, not more so than the romantic plot, but each way that the love interest kind of confesses their love seems to be very personalized, which I like. And yeah, so far I'm really enjoying it. It's just a bit slower to play overall, even though the routes are much shorter than Cupid Parasite. It just feels like there's a little less going on, and in the case of Canus, there was a whole plot point where I'm like, but we knew this in the common route, and yet it's like being revealed here. It was weird. Not well thought out, and I think it made the MC look kind of stupid. So I'm really enjoying Cafe Enchanté. I actually recommend this if you like fantasy games, fantasy plots, or not fantasy plots, but fantasy settings. If you like fantasy settings, this is a pretty good one. It does have a little bit of an isekai feel to it, although it tends to focus more on, at least the love interest that I've seen so far, the love interest, while it is an isekai for the female lead and for the love interest coming to the cafe, when you actually get into the route, it's a little bit more fantasy oriented because it focuses on the love interest's interaction with their own world, and then the female lead kind of comes in and disrupts that a little bit. But the focus tends to be more on the love interest and how they interact with their world. At least that's been my interpretation. So far, pretty good. I'm enjoying it. And those are just some comments. So yeah, we are done. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care of yourselves.